Okay, to solve this question, we have to first understand the very first sentence here. Z varies directly as X and inversely as Y. So you'll probably recall from the lesson that you had on this material that varying directly is set up Z equals a constant, any constant K times X. That's a direct variation. And an indirect variation would be Z equals a constant. And then it's indirect, so it's divided by Y. Okay? So we have both of those. So to set up the full equation with both of those properties, you would say a constant times X, and we're going to, let's say, divide by Y. It would be in the denominator. So we would need division. Okay? Imagine this Y is closer. All right, so that is our equation set up. Perhaps it is best that our equation might be written Z equals K times X divided by Y. That will work as well. All right, so that is our setup. We have direct variation, that's multiplication times a constant, and we have indirect variation, which is a constant, and division. Okay, directly means if Z goes up, if X goes up, then Z will go up. And indirect variation means if Y goes up, Z will go down. It goes the opposite way. That makes sense. If you took any old number and you divided by, let's say 2, you take half of it, Z would be half. But then if you divided it by 4 million, Z would go really, really small. See, if you divide by a big number, Z will get very, very small. That's inverse variation. And direct variation is the opposite. So you can imagine if X is, let's say 10, Z would be the constant times 10. Okay, if we're just looking at this by itself. If X was 10, constant times 10. But if you had X be 70 billion, then you see Z would get very, very large with multiplication. So they go in the same direction. That's direct variation, and division gives you indirect variation. Okay, so now let's deal with the second part of the problem. If Z equals 159. So we just have to start plugging these numbers in. Z equals 159. Okay, actually let me put this to the side here. Z equals 159. I'm just going to plug in 159 for Z equals K. We don't know what K is. We don't know what our constant is, but we know what X is. It's 8, and Y is 6. All right. So there's a simple equation with one unknown K. We can solve for it. All right. I'll just simplify a tiny little bit because 8 divided by 6, they're both even, so that is 4 divided by 3. All right, so really to solve this little algebra problem, K is going to equal 159, and I need to multiply that by the reciprocal, 3/4. You know, there's this intermediate step here, 159. I multiply by 3/4 equals K, and I flipped K to the left-hand side because they're used to that convention. Okay, so we just have to do some calculations here to figure out this value of K. It's not pretty, but here we go. Just checking. 159, we have to multiply it by 3 first. So 159 times 3, let's do a little calculation on the side here. 9 times 3 is 27. Carry the 2 at the top there. 27. 3 times 5 is 15, plus 2 is 17. And 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4. So it's 477. Let's go back over here. So that is K equals 477. We still have the divide by 4. And look at the 7 there. We're not going to be able to divide by 4. So we will leave it at that. And then what we will do is we figured out K. Okay, now we get to do this last part here. Find Z if X equals 5 and Y equals 8. All right, so now we will write our equation. Our equation way back here with our K substituted in. Z equals, now we know what K is, 477 divided by 7. But I'll sort everything in the numerator first. And then, it's hard to do this. So I'll have to write it. Divided by, we've got the 4 in the denominator with the constant, and we have the Y. So that's what it's going to look like. All right. Okay, so that is our equation. So it's very easy here. All we have to do to answer the question is to find Z if X equals 5 and Y equals 8. So we plug in 5 for X and 8 for Y. So now this problem becomes Z equals, on the top we get 477 times 5. That's X. And the denominator has 4 times 8 for Y. Okay, so that's all we have to do. Compute that value. Now, you'll have to take some time, like I did. Actually, I set up board 3 for you, because we need 477 times 5, right? 477 times 5. All right, so 7 times 5 is 35. We got 7 times 5 again is 35 plus 3, so we get 38. And 4 times 5 is 20 plus 3, so we get 23. 2,385. So we'll go back here. Now I've simplified the top two. 2,385. Do I remember that correctly? Double check once. 2,385. And it's divided by, at the bottom, 4 times 8, 32. And those won't divide any further. No simplification. So we can stop at that point. And our final answer is Z equals 2,385 divided by 32.